1932 was revolutionary in terms of the Academy Awards because it was announced that the studio that had provided awards for theatrical pictures was about to enter the cartoon realm. The first Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Subject were held in 1932, and these were the results. In third And here are the results. First place was Flowers and Trees by the Walt Disney Studios, directed by Burt Gillette as part of a Silly Symphony. The second place winner was Mickey's Orphans, also from Disney, also from Burt Gillette, but a black and white feature starring Mickey Mouse. Third place was a Merry Melodies cartoon, It's Got Me Again, by Rudy Ising, of Harmonizing for Warner Brothers. Now, interestingly, Flowers and Trees is perhaps the most basic of the whole bunch. How exactly did it get this award? All it is just flowers and trees doing their thing and a very simple story of a bad tree stamping everything until somebody comes and saves the day. There's not much in the way of gags, and the story is as simple as water. So, what exactly made Flowers and Trees stand out? Answer: color. The runner-ups were in black and white, but Flowers and Trees was the very first short subject to be produced in 3-strip Technicolor, making it more vibrant. And who did Disney like to show it off? He showed it off so much that it gave the film a certain appeal, and Disney in turn liked it so much to the point where he decided to sign an exclusive contract with Technicolor to use that three-strip doodad until 1935. Now, of course, there were runner-ups. Mickey's Orphans was released around that same time, and it starred Mickey Mouse. This guy was the OG cartoon character, or at least the one cartoon character that defined what a cartoon character was supposed to be. Debuting after Walt Disney lost the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a creation of his, he decided to create a similar character that was like Oswald, but a mouse. These early Mickey cartoons are not how most people imagine them. Mickey Mouse in his early years was a mischievous little brat who did some very questionable things. It was not until later that his big-hearted, innocent personality was established later on. In Mickey's Orphans, Mickey makes a mistake of picking up a basket that has all these mischievous kids in it, and these kids wreck the house of his and Minnie's brutally. So we actually see some black comedy in these shorts, not present in later stereotypical Disney stuff. Both of these shorts signified Burt Gillette as the top leader of the studio. Now, Gillette did not direct Steamboat Willie, which introduced the talkie to animated cartoons, or more specifically, it wasn't the one to synchronize sound perfectly. As you can see, I'm getting rather stutter-brained, folks. So hold on. Now, what was it? I am a man from Wackyland, after all, no matter how penguin-like I'm looking. Now, that was it. Steamboat Willie was the first cartoon to get the synchronization process done already by Paul Terry and Max Fleischer right, bringing about the golden age of animation. But wouldn't you believe that Burt Gillette did not direct it? That was back when Walt Disney actually directed shorts himself. He still produced and was still directing a little during this time, but Gillett wound up being even more experienced in Disney. He would go on to be the studio's top director for the first couple of years after this. And it's all thanks to these two cartoons involving color, plant life, and a bunch of orphans ruining a mouse's house. Now, let's talk about the outlier. It's Got Me Again. Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising, hence harmonizing, were fellow employees by Walt Disney. However, they had a falling out with Disney and went to Warner Brothers. There, under producer Leon Schlesinger, they were allowed to make films. If Disney pioneered the uses of synchronized music and sounds, Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies popularized synchronized speech. Bosco the Talking Kid is very, very different from your average Looney Tune, of course. As he was very nondescript, his humor in his cartoons were different, and they were very much Disney-like. Unlike Disney, though, Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies had a more raunchier sense of humor. A raunchy sense of humor that would gradually die down for the rest of Harman and Ising's tenure, until they finally called it quits in 1933, taking Bosco with them. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, these early Looney Tunes are very different from what came after. Were you expecting Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, and maybe Daffy Duck? Nope, you got Bosco, the talking kid, and his girlfriend Honey, nondescript cartoon characters who fell into obscurity. If it wasn't for dedicated fans, then they would have fallen into obscurity even more. Oh, and also unlike Disney, Hugh Harman and Rudy Ising actually had the decency to credit people besides the producer or maybe drawer of iWorks back in the day. In this case, Frank Marsalis was credited for the score, while the drawers, or animators, were some little-known guys named Tom McKimson and Friz Freeling. Now, Tom McKimson is actually going to be little known in spite of being a Warner Brothers mainstay, though I can't say exactly the same for his brother Bob, who we'll get to later. Friz Freeling, on the other hand, well, he's not exactly Friz Freeling yet. He goes by the name Isidore Freeling, which was his birth name. And he is largely responsible for the perfect timing in these cartoons. These Merry Melody cartoons had a higher budget than Looney Tunes, were mostly one-shots, barring the first few which had recurring characters. Not Bosco or Honey, but characters that were almost similar to them in everything but being Bosco and Honey. And they featured a popular Tin Pan Alley song of the day, hence Merry Melodies. In fact, the first three Merry Melodies are perhaps the most blatant Disney ripoffs in existence because in addition to featuring cutesy stuff, Foxy and Roxy looked almost like Mickey and Minnie to the point where Walt Disney told them to stop. So we got Piggy and his girlfriend for a while, and then they were retired, and then it was just decided that the Looney Tunes would star Bosco, and the Merry Melodies would star one-shot characters, though some recurring characters like Goopy Gear still existed. By this point, Rudy Ising was solely directing the Merry Melodies, while Hugh Harman got the Bosco Looney Tunes. After having spent the last year or so directing Looney Tunes together. Again, in 1933, there was a spat between Harman and Ising and Leon Schlesinger over budgets, and they left initially for Van Buren, but then MGM, where they would spend much longer at. And that wraps up 1932. I'll be back sometime later with 1933. See you then. Goodbye.